Do it.
How nice to get in the gym?
It's good. Yeah, I think it's always good to just get with each other, reconnect, have point of emphasis, things that you want to grow at as a team, and kind of spend an hour or two together. So it's always good for us. It's a lot of fun.
And one game in 5 days is a big departure from what you guys have been doing. Was there a sense of relief, like you guys can actually kind of like get off your feet a little bit, work through some things?
I mean, I think there was a sense of excitement for me to practice. Sense of excitement to take for the players to take a deep breath. And so I don't know if it was like relief, but like I was excited that like, hey, we could practice today without anything to worry about, and we can know exactly what we want to get better at. And then I know we can have like fresh minds going into the game tomorrow.
What were the focuses?
I think just reconnectivity and the re-emphasis of our early offense. I think sometimes we, my part included, sometimes I'll mess up the flow of the game, calling a set that the guys don't see. I see a set, they see something different, and then we're kind of disconnected for like the first 8 seconds of the shot clock. So just reconnecting on our early offense reads, our early offense points of emphasis, and then just continue to work our defense and making sure the game's connected. When your transition defense is bad, it's because your offense is bad. When your rebounding's bad, it's because your shift activity in the first line of your defense, whether it's the pick and roll coverage or your individual defense, those things. So just kind of get reconnected on those things.
It's that balance. So obviously you are empowering a lot of the guys to kind of power offense based on what they see out there, but when you kind of feel that need to step in, does it kind of get?
No, I think that's a huge area of growth for me with this team this year is like how can my play calling and what I see in the game not hurt the rhythm or the connectivity of our game, and like call them the right play at the right time, and then allowing them to call the sets and see what they see in our early offense reads, which moments of greatness we're really good at it. And so that was a good conversation that we had today, and that's something I'm aware of for myself is like making sure the play calls are timely, making sure they're keeping the rhythm and the connectivity of the team. So it was good to do that on the court today.
Marcus back tomorrow. Obviously you were able to spend 3 years with him here. You were pretty confident that the group was going to be able to make up for the leadership you lost to him, but what did you and the players kind of learn from him in terms of his leadership style?
Yeah.
The time you spent around him?
Well, I mean, I've always said you don't replace a guy like him. You just find different ways to be able to do it. And so, who he is will always be etched into the city of Boston because of what he's done, in the community service, and then what he's done here, just helping represent and give. Like I think he's one of the guys that started our defensive foundation before I got here because of his ability to compete at a high level, to defend at a high level, and execute different coverages. And so. Just like I said, who he is off the court, and then kind of what he brings from a mindset standpoint and a defensive intensity standpoint. It'll be good to see him tomorrow.
What's it going to be like seeing him tomorrow? I mean, he was the heart and soul of this team for so many years.
After the game, it'll be good. During the game, you got to win the game. But it doesn't change who he is as a person.
Do you feel like there will be some extra emotion inside the Garden, and do you coach for Rick?
So 2 things. One, I've forgotten to say this. I think even through this stretch of games that we've had, I think the Garden's been great, and I still feel that connectivity as far as like what it means to play for the Celtics. And I think even through some of the stretches where we haven't played as well, I think they stuck by us. So I think that's really important. And I think when it was 77-71 and we got that loose ball yesterday, you kind of really felt that. And so I appreciate that, and I know and trust that they'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to grow and play Celtic basketball. And I think there will be a little bit extra emotion just because of how Smart's been able to impact the community and impact the Garden so many times. So hopefully during a timeout, I don't know how, if his hand still hurts, but he can dive on the floor for a loose ball and roll one out.
Back when Smart left and Grant left, one of the big questions about the team is like, where's the grit, toughness going to come from? Seems like that's been pretty good so far. But how did Smart, I guess, help everyone here learn how to live that lifestyle, play that way? And how has the team been able to cover up for that?
I think when you have a guard that plays as hard as he does, and guards centers, guards point guards, picks up full court, boxes out, charges, all those little things I think go into it. You always see, like I think for him to win Defensive Player of the Year, he's with the first guard since Gary Payton. It's always been bigs do it. So when you see a guard have an impact on the game at so many levels the way he did, I think that's kind of what started it.
And so then this year, what have you guys done to live that? Like how have you been able to keep that going?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you don't replace it. I think it just looks different. I think Tatum dove on the floor for a loose ball. Derek's winning plays, the back tips in transition, Drew's constant intensity. I think just focusing on everybody's strengths and what they're able to do Jalen's individual defense, like that's just as tough as what another player does. It just looks different, and so I think you just have to highlight each person's definition of toughness and how that pertains to helping our team win.
You just had like an extended conversation with Jalen over here. What were you guys trying to work through?
I knew that was coming. How did I know?
You gotta ask, right?
No, we
observed Joe.
I mean, one of my goals is to talk to every guy every day, whether it's a shoot around or a practice day. So I try to grab every guy and have a 1 to 3 minute conversation about what they're thinking, what they see, making sure their communication with me. I'm always telling them what they need to do, and they need to make sure they're telling me what we need to do as a staff or how we can help them. And so just a touch up, focus on some what he sees during the game, or how we can make situations for him better. So I try to do that with every player, shoot around day or a practice day.
What's some feedback that the players are giving you?
No, I mean I think it's just recognizing situations, right? Like making sure there's clarity on our early offense execution, our situations, making sure we're on the same page about our defensive matchups, just communication in general. Our guys are pretty easy. We've spent a lot of time together, but I always want to make sure, especially in our organization, there can't be anything that can't be said. It has to be said, whether it's peer-to-peer, player to coach, coach to player. Just got to make sure we're having healthy communication. Sometimes that's confrontation, sometimes that's criticism, sometimes it's a hug, sometimes it's an FU. It could be a little bit of everything. As long as we're having it, it's important.
Back to the fans, you said the other night it's good to get booed sometimes.
Absolutely. Too much praise is unhealthy, but so is too much criticism. You got to have that balance of both. You don't want to believe all the good, but you don't want to believe all the bad either.
And how did you kind of, you obviously grew up in the area, you kind of know the fan base, know like the high expectations fans have around here. How does that kind of help you manage?
It's beautiful.
Expectation that you're going to get booed even in first place?
You should get booed. It's just, to me, it's the ultimate compliment. Today was also about perspective. What lens do we want to look at the season? Do we want to look at that we're 37-12? Do we want to look at that we're 5-2 in our last 7, 2-2 in our last 4, 2-1 in our last 3, 0-1, or 0-0 because it doesn't really matter because we have a game tomorrow. So you can pick any lens you want to look at it. Sometimes you have to look at all the lenses to see where you're at and where you're growing, and sometimes you just focus on the next situation. And so I think looking at expectation as the ultimate compliment, and we wouldn't want it any other way. And it's a responsibility, and we're trying to work together to do something that's less than 1% of the world can do. I think there's no more beauty in that. And I think the connectivity to the fans and to the Garden, even when they're booing us, to me that's actually letting us know that we need to be better. That's almost a good thing. And so we have to look at it that way. And they've been great for us this year.
Thank you, Joe.